Liam asked him how he saw him. Julian, without looking up from his book, answered with a single word. Disgusting. Liam countered that he would go back and tell Julian's past self everything. A threat that was met with a cold stare. Julian wanted to know if he intended to live in the past forever. The words were expected, yet they landed like physical blows, a knot of acid tightening in Liam's stomach until the whole world seemed to tilt on its axis. He wanted to scream that the Julian of the past was different, that he used to smile at him with unguarded warmth, that he had promised to love him forever. But that was before the story had sunk its claws into him. To stop Julian from becoming the tragic villain of the novel, a casualty with a grim fate, Liam had resorted to desperate measures. He had fabricated a world to keep him safe, a gilded cage, even if it meant being despised for it. Now the story had reached its conclusion. The novel's hero and his lover were united. Liam had forced Julian to watch the live stream of their wedding, a final, cruel act to sever the last thread of hope. The young man's eyes had remained fixed on the screen, his knuckles white where he gripped the pages of his book. He sat there, ramrod straight, long after Liam had switched the television off, a statue carved from loss. Deep into the night, he finally spoke, his voice a barren whisper. He asked if Liam was satisfied now, if he could finally be let go. Liam's legs had gone numb from sitting. He had no more reasons, no more justifications to keep him here. It was time. He took a deep, shuddering breath and promised Julian that he could stay, that he would be the one to leave. The only reply was the rustle of a page being turned. The wind, carrying droplets of rain, billowed the curtain and lifted the edge of Julian's shirt, revealing a waist that had grown too thin. Liam had failed to even keep him well-fed. But now Julian was free. He would take care of himself. "I'm going, Julian," Liam said, his voice louder this time. The hand turning the page paused for a fraction of a second before continuing. That, and the mournful whistle of the wind, was his only farewell. He was an intruder in this world, a soul displaced by a fatal accident. Julian was the boy next door, the one who had practically raised him after his parents died. Liam's awareness of his predicament, of the fact that he was living inside a novel, had awakened at 17, far too late. He was already in love. He remembered how, when his world had collapsed, Julian had sent a single text. "Wait for me." He had crossed half the globe to be by his side, to handle the things Liam couldn't. Liam was grateful this was a world where love between two men wasn't a spectacle, but he cursed that it had cast Julian as the doomed antagonist, whose devotion to the story's protagonist was a scripted, destructive obsession. Knowing Julian's fate was like having a death sentence read aloud. Every step toward that future was an agony. He had tried to fight it. He'd thought if he could just keep Julian from meeting the protagonist, Owen, he could win. But the narrative was a relentless current. An avoided encounter at the university was replaced by a chance meeting on a downtown street. The outcome was always the same. Julian would fall, inevitably, hopelessly. It culminated in a dimly lit bar, the air thick with the scent of whiskey. Julian had looked at him, his smile a twisted, bitter thing, and confessed his desire to kill the main hero, just to have Owen for himself. The plot was twisting Julian into a monster, and Liam knew he had to act, even if it meant Julian would hate him. His plan took a year. He became a licensed therapist, forged medical documents, and used the pretense of a severe mental breakdown to bring Julian here, to this isolated house by a lake in Washington, for 2 years of recuperation. Their families, trusting the bond they'd shared since childhood, had readily agreed. The beginning was a storm of resistance. They fought, physically, their bodies clashing in brutal, desperate scuffles. They hurled curses that scraped their throats raw. Liam drugged him, pressed his face into the cold water of the sink until the fight went out of him, then hauled him up by his hair to face his reflection. He had forced Julian to see the wreck he'd become, the hollowed-out eyes, the bloodied lip, the elegant young man warped by an obsessive narrative. That day, a flicker of the old Julian had returned. As Liam let him go, his voice cold and steady, Julian had whispered his name for the first time in months. Liam stopped in the doorway, his back to him, and heard the three words that felt like 1,000 shards of glass in his heart. "I hate you." He managed a quiet acknowledgement before leaving, missing the faint, desperate tug at his sleeve. In the grip of the story, Julian's heart was an impenetrable fortress. And yet, fragments of the man he was supposed to be would surface. On nights when thunderstorms raged, shaking the house to its foundation, he would appear at Liam's door, his expression dazed. Liam's fear of thunder was a scar left from the night his parents died, and Julian had always been the one to sit with him until the storm passed. Even now, locked in their bitter war, instinct would drive him to Liam's side. Then he would see Liam's face, and the confusion would curdle into a pained awareness of their reality. He couldn't bear seeing that look on Julian's face, so Liam started spending stormy nights away from the house. Just as he was resigning himself to this torturous stalemate, a voice echoed in his mind. The system. It had been dormant since his arrival, its energy depleted. It explained the situation with a detached, clinical tone. He was in the wrong universe, a cosmic error. As compensation, it could free Julian from the story's control, erase the memories of the past 2 years, and return Liam's soul to his original world once his character's life here ended. Liam's only question was whether Julian would truly be free of the pain. The system assured him he would. He agreed. The day he chose for his departure, a relentless downpour began, shrouding the landscape in a gray, oppressive gloom. The rumble of thunder echoed his own frantic heartbeat. He had forgotten his umbrella but couldn't bring himself to go back. One more look at Julian and his resolve would crumble. He walked into the rain, hailing a cab that could only take him to the edge of the private road. Through the sheets of water, he thought he heard his name being called. Couldn't be. He didn't turn back. The system offered him a pill to numb the senses, to make it painless. He held it, then asked what it would take to ensure Julian would be okay. The system explained that as the story ended, its grip would weaken, allowing the memories to be overwritten. To guarantee it, Liam could witness Julian's entire life before returning. He agreed. He extinguished his cigarette, let the pill fall from his hand, and stepped off the edge of the pier into the churning, black water of the lake. The shock of the cold was absolute, a final, brutal affirmation of being alive. Water flooded his senses, a burning, suffocating pressure. His phone buzzed in his pocket. A final message from someone. His parents? No, Julian's. It didn't matter. Julian was free. In the darkness, an image bloomed behind his closed eyes. Julian's face, streaked with tears. On the first day of his death, Liam's spirit lingered. He watched the young man who still sat in the armchair, book open on his lap. It was darkly comical that only in death could he gaze at Julian with such unfiltered love. Dark circles bruised the skin under Julian's eyes. He was thinner than ever, his tall frame looking fragile. Outside, the rain continued its assault. The clock on the mantelpiece chimed 10, then 11, then 12. Finally, Julian moved. He stood, returned the book to its shelf, and walked toward his bedroom. At the threshold, he paused, then turned back, retrieving the old, disconnected phone Liam had given him years ago from the side table. Liam followed him into the bedroom, settling on the bed as Julian showered. When he emerged, hair still damp, Julian glanced at the phone before turning off the light. He lay in bed, staring into the darkness. A moment later, he got up, found the hairdryer, and methodically dried his hair, just as Liam had always nagged him to do. He settled back into bed, the phone clutched in his hand. The next morning, Julian was gone when Liam's consciousness solidified. He found him standing at the front door, his hand trembling as it hovered over the knob. He turned it. The door swung open. Julian was free, but instead of stepping out, he looked stunned, then stumbled back inside as if the world beyond the door had burned him. He slammed the door shut and sat on the sofa, staring at the phone, repeatedly waking the screen to see the old photo of them he'd set as the background. A ringing sound broke the silence. It wasn't the old phone. It was coming from Liam's room. Julian hesitated before pushing the door open. The room was sparse, almost sterile, except for a worn teddy bear sitting on the pillow. Belle, a gift from Julian when they were children. He had once screamed at Liam about it, and Liam, in a fit of rage, had lied and said he'd thrown it away. Julian had stopped fighting then, his face wet, whispering how much he hated him. Now he stared at the bear, his expression unreadable. The phone on the nightstand rang again. His mother. He answered, his voice rough. His mother's cheerful voice filled the room, saying she had spoken to Liam a few days ago, that he'd said Julian was all better. She mentioned the police had called her about a phone belonging to a Liam Spencer that had been found, along with a body. She didn't understand the local accent well and asked Julian to go to the sheriff's department to check. A flicker of something that wasn't relief, but a deeper dread, crossed Julian's face. He agreed. The sheriff's office was a chaotic small-town diorama of minor disputes and paperwork. A young deputy directed Julian to a tired-looking man with kind eyes and a grin set to his mouth. He introduced himself as Deputy Evans. He explained that a body had been recovered from the lake by a fisherman. An ID in the wallet and a contact on the phone had led them to his mother. Julian's face, already pale, lost its last trace of color. He insisted it must be a mistake, that Liam's phone was just stolen. Evans led him away from the noise, down a quiet hall to a cold, sterile room. The morgue. The deputy's voice was gentle but firm as he explained that the coroner had ruled out foul play. The man had a cigarette on the pier, and then he jumped. A clear suicide. Evans gestured to a form covered by a white sheet. Julian's hand trembled as he reached for it. He asked if the death had been painful. Evans considered this, then answered honestly that drowning was a terrible way to go. The unfiltered truth seemed to shatter something inside Julian. He recoiled from the sheet. With a sigh, Evans strode forward and pulled the sheet back himself. The body on the steel table was swollen and pale, but undeniably Liam. His eyes were closed, his lips bloodless. Julian took a staggering step forward. His fingers ghosted over the small mole near the corner of Liam's lips, a detail only visible when he smiled. The sight of it seemed to drain the last of the life from him, leaving him looking more like a corpse than the body on the table. There was no triumph on his face, no relief of a captive set free. There was only an abyss of grief. He asked for a moment alone. Outside, the young deputy fidgeted. "We're not really supposed to leave them alone with the body, sir." Evans shrugged. "Rules are for the living. You see the wallpaper on that phone? That wasn't hate in his eyes." Liam's spirit watched as Julian sat beside the gurney. A memory surfaced, from a time when the story's madness had briefly receded. Julian, in a haze, had whispered Liam's name, followed by a barely audible, "I love you." He had pretended not to hear, terrified to distinguish the real man from the puppet. Now the statue of Julian began to speak, his voice a broken murmur. He begged Liam to wake up, to get angry. He promised he wouldn't fight anymore, that he'd let Liam lock him up again if he would just come back. It was the voice of the boy who, years ago, after a petty argument, had stood outside his door and apologized. His voice thick with tears because Liam had spent the day talking to someone else. Julian brought the body home. He bought a portable cooling unit, a morbid parody of a bed, and placed it in their room. He locked the doors, adding extra bolts, just as Liam used to. He bathed the stiffening body with painstaking care, dressed it in clean clothes, and laid it on the bed, propping it against his shoulder as he tried to read. He began to talk, the words spilling out in a disjointed, desperate torrent. He confessed that he was sick, that some part of him had been fighting all along. He explained the alien thoughts, the steel trap of an obsession that wasn't his own, the flashes of clarity when he would see the disappointment in Liam's eyes and feel an unbearable shame. He admitted his fear that his scripted madness was eroding Liam's love, and that a genuine confession of his own feelings would only make him leave faster. He wept without sound, tears tracking paths through the pallor of his skin. He said he was the one who should have died. 3 days later, he went to the bathroom. Liam's spirit, sensing a shift, waited outside. The sound of running water stopped, but Julian did not emerge. A cold dread seized Liam, and he phased through the door. Julian was in the tub. The water stained a deep crimson. His eyes closed, a serene expression on his face. Liam screamed, a useless, silent roar of fury and despair. "You fool! Is this what I saved you for?" A loud banging came from the front door. It was Deputy Evans. "Julian, you in there? Your mom's been calling me, worried sick." After a moment, there was the sound of a lock being picked, and the officer entered, his boots thudding on the floorboards. He smelled the blood immediately and charged toward the bathroom. At the hospital, after Julian was stabilized, Evans sat by his bed. He told the unresponsive young man that a person dies twice, once when their body fails and again when they are last forgotten. He asked if Julian really thought this is what Liam would have wanted. Julian's eyes, empty and fixed on the ceiling, did not move. He whispered a single word. "Yes." Liam raged at the system. It coolly informed him that due to Julian's prolonged resistance to the narrative's control, he had developed an immunity. A simple memory wipe was no longer possible. The only option was a full system reboot. The world would be reset to a point before the story began. Julian would live a normal life, unburdened by destiny. And Liam would be sent home with a bonus of $5 million for his trouble. He had to leave now for the cleanup to begin. Liam looked at Julian's broken form and agreed. He made one final deal. He leaned close to Julian's ear, his ethereal form shimmering. He told him he had to go back now, but that Julian had to be happy. He had to live. He had earned a new beginning. Julian's head turned on the pillow. His eyes widened, first with disbelief, then elation, then a terrible, gut-wrenching fear. He saw him. "You're leaving? Where are you going? Take me with you. If I die, can I come with you? Please." The words were a torrent of grief. "I'm sorry. I love you." It was the confession Liam had longed to hear, but now it was only pain. He managed a smile that felt like cracking ice. He told Julian he knew, that he'd said it before, but Julian just didn't remember. He made him a promise. Live a long, full life, and when it's your time at the very end, I'll come back for you. Otherwise, we can never meet again. Julian's face crumpled. "You can't do this to me," he cried, his voice raw. "You always do this. You save me and you don't ask. I don't want it. I'd rather be dead." Liam leaned in and whispered, "I love you too, Julian." As his form began to dissolve, he felt a phantom pressure, the warmth of a hand closing around his. It felt like the night of the storm, all those years ago, when Julian had run through the cold to pull him into a life-saving embrace. Julian awoke with a start. The book he'd been reading slid from his lap. He was young, the lines of grief and exhaustion erased from his face. Outside, rain lashed against the windows, and thunder rumbled in the distance. It was 9 o'clock. A knock came at the door, a soft, rhythmic tapping that echoed the beat of his own suddenly racing heart. He wasn't expecting anyone. He hurried to the door and pulled it open. Liam was leaning against the frame, a playful, familiar smirk on his handsome face. He held up his phone, the screen glowing. "Got a very interesting text from someone just now," he said, his voice a low, teasing drawl. "Something about being sorry, liking me a lot, and wanting me to stay the night." The next second, Julian's arms were around him, holding on with a desperate strength that went beyond a simple embrace. It was the clutch of a man who had found something he thought was lost forever. Tears streamed down his face. Liam was startled, his teasing demeanor melting into concern. "Hey, what's this? I didn't mean to make you cry." "Don't go," Julian choked out, burying his face in Liam's shoulder. "I want you. Only you." Liam's eyebrows shot up. "Okay," he said slowly. "No more games today, I guess. Good thing I brought snacks." He gestured with the bag in his other hand. "I love you," Julian said, the words fierce and clear. "I'm sorry for what I said." A slow, brilliant smile spread across Liam's face, revealing the tiny mole near his lip. All right, I forgive you." Before Liam could say more, Julian leaned in and kissed him. A kiss full of reverence and relief, his lips lingering on the corner of Liam's mouth, on that small, perfect imperfection. Liam pulled back, looking dazed and a little breathless. Even with a move like that, he murmured, a complex emotion in his eyes, "I'm not letting you go that easily." Julian held him tighter, the warmth of Liam's body a solid, undeniable truth. "I'm willing to be your prisoner forever," he said, and for the first time in this life or any other, he knew it was a dream he never wanted to wake from.